Hey, what's good? Thanks for tuning in. And this is my Starlight headliner for the Subaru BRZ. This is going to be a pretty long video, so thanks for watching, and you can skip ahead all the way to the end to see the demo if you want. So this is definitely not an original idea. There's lots of people on YouTube that are already doing this, so I just want to thank 151 Garage and Reynaldo Velasquez. I'll link their channels in the description below. I got the original idea from 151 Garage, and Reynaldo Velasquez has a pretty good video on YouTube to break down how he installed it. And for the teardown for the Subaru BRZ and same for the FRS and the 86, there's a really good thread I found on the FT86 Club forum that I'll link down below as well that you can follow along with my video. Sitting in my 2018 BRZ right now, about to start a pretty simple but very time-consuming mod. Some tips right off the bat I've read online that would make this a little bit easier is to pull off the headrests. You get a little bit more clearance for maneuvering the headliner. Open the doors and the windows completely. So swing the doors out, open the windows so that when you're pulling out the headliner comes out without bending. So my plans are, obviously the fiber optics are gonna go up here. The light engine I have is kind of big, so I'm not exactly sure where that's gonna go. I might route it in that pillar down into the trunk. And for power, I got two options. Basically, one is gonna be plug it into the cigarette lighter. That's gonna be the easiest thing. I got a pretty long extension cable for that. The other option is to cut that cable and wire it to a fuse. So I also got a fuse tap that should borrow accessory power and power the light engine. Forgot to mention, so just so you are aware if you're doing this at home, you probably will need just a couple of screwdrivers and a flathead and a Phillips. If you have a couple different sizes, you'll probably be okay. I just got a small screwdriver set that I'm going to be using. And it would also be really useful if you have a trim removal kit. So this I got off Amazon. This was probably like 15-20 bucks when I bought it a while ago, and it has like 5 different sizes, different shapes. Will make this a lot easier for you. So just about to get started, basically order of operations is going to be to remove the two visors and their clips, then the microphone, the lamp up here. There's also some clips at the back, and then the pillars and the plastic guards. And then I think this thing comes out. I just took off the clip for the sun visor. All this is up here. You get a little space right at the front where you can stick a flathead in and push this clip. Push this side, you release it. You go from this side and you push this side and release it, and this thing comes out. So this came out pretty easy. Just gotta make sure to pull out the clip properly. Now to get these out, what you want to do is pry carefully from the front, back, and sides for both of these. And then there's going to be the wiring that you unclip from the inside, and then these come out. The clip itself isn't very difficult to get out once you separate it from this white piece. So what happens is, initially this clip is all the way in, so you need to pry the edge of it out so you can see the separation between the white and the black. And then once you have it separated, it's very easy to put a flathead screwdriver in between and then just pop this out. So to remove your front pillar, basically what I do is grab it at the top and squeeze pretty hard. You can put a pry tool down at the seam at the top and this will basically just release. And be careful because your airbag is behind here, of course. So you can go around and undo the clips along the sides. You can see there, and then this just slips out. And then you just have this little tether or whatever this is to undo from here. You can also pull it out from the body up top, but I'm choosing to leave that and just gonna slip it out from down there. The pillars in the back, you can fully remove, but you can see there's like 3 of those really big orange tabs, and I don't want to remove that. So the headliner is mostly loose, and very carefully you can pull it out from behind the seatbelt column. So be careful not to crease it when you're doing this. You might want to remove this as well, but I'm gonna try not to. Whew, okay, so I almost have the headliner out. I had to tug at each edge, carry it along the front and the sides and the back, and this thing started to drop. So basically, there's some cables attached on the inside of this. You don't want to pull it straight out, but be careful. So this wire was routed from the top into this clip. This is kind of annoying to remove. And then this wire was in there. This goes all the way back along the entire headliner, all the way to the back up and in, and that's probably for either the antenna up top there or for the third brake light at the back of the glass or something, but that's removed. So this side is good to go. There's another cable over here, and that's coming all the way from that side, so you're gonna want to remove those as well. I'm really happy that this is out, but putting it back in might suck. I had that door wide open with the window mostly down, and it still was kind of a squeeze pulling it out, but we were only just beginning. And I was just saying right before this that I was kind of positive about this and I'd probably start complaining about it later, and here we are about an hour later complaining. Oh man. Alright, so short progress update. I'm done installing this on about the middle third of the headliner, and just a tip, I found this badge that goes on like a backpack or something, and this pin is appropriately sized for these fibers, and what I'm doing is I'm just randomly picking spots, poking it through and rotating it a bit so I can get some space. If you're doing this, I would recommend doing that a bunch of times, maybe like a whole section of this grid, and then inserting all the fibers and then gluing them all in, rather than doing it one by one. It's very tiring. So I'm gonna take a break from this and come back to this in a little while and hopefully finish up this side and that side, and then we'll see.
2,000 years later.
I'm speechless. This thing is so beautiful. I literally just can't stop staring at this. I'm sitting in my room for the last 10 minutes just staring at this. So got the light engine here hooked up into the fibers, and I ran them all 450 into my headliner. Honestly, on the video I have no idea what this is looking at, but hopefully it makes sense. They're pretty long still, so I'm gonna go in and trim these. Alright, so here is my headliner. This is fully finished, and you can't even tell anything is in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn off the light, I'm gonna use that remote, and we'll see how this looks. Three, two, one. Alright, so if I get up close, here's back where we are, and it looks really good. It looks really subtle. This is at the, I think this is at the highest speed. Let's see. Alright, so highest speed and highest brightness for white light, and you can see the bundle over here going into the light engine. Now let me turn this around and show you guys the back. So this is what the back looks like. Basically, I poked a hole and widened it with a little pin for each fiber optic. Stuck it in about 3 or 4 inches past the headliner and glued it in. I just put a dab of hot glue, low temperature hot glue, for each one. And you can see it's kind of a web, but it leads from the middle towards that bundle. So what I did is I started in the middle and worked my way out, and I would suggest you do the same thing because you want to keep it kind of organized so that you don't get too much tangle, or it might be hard to manage if one of these you notice has popped out. And yeah, looks pretty awesome. Honestly, it wasn't too difficult. It was just very time consuming, so just be aware how much time it's going to take you depending on how many fibers you choose to use. Let's put this back up. Now I just want to show, I'll turn the light back on here. I want to show this, this is what I'm going to use for power. So this is the barrel jack adapter that goes into the light engine. And this is, I think, a 3-meter long cable, and the other end, this is originally a 3-meter long extension for a cigarette lighter port on the other side, and I cut it off and wired into a fuse tap. So the inside of this already had the red and black. Red goes into the fuse tap, so I'll show you how to wire that in the car. And the other one is going to be the ground. So we're going to use that. And then to trim these down, what I did was, these were hanging out towards, kind of out of the headliner about 3 or 4 inches, and I took a nail clipper, yeah, so it's called a nail clipper, and with one hand I held the fiber, I tugged on it very, very lightly just to make sure it was kind of held in place, and then with the other hand, put the corner of this, because as you can see, it is curved. I don't have a flat one, but anyway, it won't focus, but you can see that. It is curved, so what I did was I held it with one hand so that it would be, so that the fiber was taut, and then put the edge, the corner of this, against the headliner, dug in a little bit, not enough to cut the headliner, but just to get the cut to be flush, and then just snipped it. And I rubbed my hand around. It's pretty good. You can go over this again, just run your hand over it, and anything you feel a little bit raised, you can go back again and just snip it off. Not too bad, honestly. Just time consuming, but very easy. So let's go put this in the car, test out this power thing, route this to the back of the trunk, get this inside, put everything back together, and we're done. Alright, back in my car, and I'm trying to make space to route the fibers and the power line to the light engine when I bring it back in here. So what I'm doing is, you can see the airbag on this side going all the way back behind the pillar, and there's a gap over here that goes into the trunk. So what I'm going to do is route, kind of laying down here, but I'm going to route, once the headliner goes back up here, I'm going to route all the fiber optic bundle this way into the trunk, and the engine's going to sit there because it's kind of bulky. And I chose this side specifically because I want to route the power cable along the top and down underneath the driver console. That's where my fuse box is. So I'm planning to use accessory power with the fuse tap, so this thing can stay powered properly instead of using the cigarette lighter. Success. Alright, so ignore how dirty my car is. I need to detail this, but you can see right now I got the light engine powered, and I did this by plugging into the fuse box. So what I did is I got a fuse tap and This came from Amazon with 15 amp fuses in it. So for now, this is tapped into one of the empty slots in the middle row with the fuse box. And you can see from here, so I did some digging on the FT86 Club forum, and it seems like these middle fuses here are constant power with ignition on or off, or accessory on or off, or whatever. So right now this is powered with my car being completely off, and I think that'll be cool right now. But right now, whether this thing is on or not, it'll be draining power just to keep these power LEDs on. So if I turn this off, it turns off, but this thing is still drawing power. So I'm going to order some 10 amp fuses so I can plug it into, you can see here, the accessory fuse slot, sorry, ECU accessory, and that way every time you just go into accessory or keep your car on, then it'll work. For now, that's okay. Everything works, this whole thing works. So what it is, obviously the red is going to the red on the fuse tap, and that goes into wherever you want it to go. And the black wire is grounded to this bolt over here. And the rest of this cable, let me unplug this because we don't need it for now. The rest of this cable is going to get routed up through here. I'm going to take this panel off, and since this is already off, this is going to route up here and then all the way back there. All right, so got the power basically routed all the way to the back, right up here with some nice bright green zip ties. Now let's just bring in the headliner and start putting this all back together. And I'm really hoping that the fiber optic bundle fits kind of like down around this, down to here. You can see this space I'm hovering in. So this is the pocket I need. This is gonna close back up over here, so I'm gonna lose this space. So if it doesn't fit here, I'm gonna have some problems, but I think I will be okay. Because if it goes into there, then it just pushes past this into the trunk, where the rest of the light engine will sit. If that doesn't work, we'll see. Okay, so I finally put everything back together. Let me show you guys around. Alright, so got the pillars back, got the visors back in, got the lamp, got the mic, all the pillars in the back, and almost looks as if everything's back. There's a little bit of a gap on this one because the fibers are running down this way and then out back here towards the trunk. So what I'm gonna do is, got this guy. Oh man, all right, so I'm really hyped. This looks amazing. You can definitely see it in the daytime. I think this is on the max brightness. Let's see. Yeah, looks like the highest brightness and the highest speed. Let's play with the colors. Oh, this is so hype. I'm so excited for this. This is like, oh, I saw this other videos on YouTube and guides and stuff, and I was really reluctant to do it because of how much work it was going to be. And I was like, you know what, let's just go for it. And I'm super excited. I'm super happy that this worked out the way it did. So let me show you guys around. I had a clip before of me putting in the fuse tap up on that side. I don't know if that camera angle actually caught it. So this is powered into constant power right now, and I'm gonna add a 10 amp fuse so I can go to accessory power. So this is running to the trunk. Got it coming out that side with the fiber optic bundle and the power cable, and the light engine is sitting right here in the box of my stuff. And I'll likely put some double-sided tape. You can get stuff that has it's like a Velcro tape, so it's tape on both sides and Velcro in the middle, and that way I can attach this somewhere on the side here or on the floor. So if I ever take out some stuff, it'll kind of be in the same spot all the time. And I think this stuff might actually stick with Velcro, and that way I can just stick this right to it instead of having the tape, but we'll see. All right, well, this turned out really amazing. I'm very happy at how this looks right now. So I'll come back in the nighttime and get some clips for you guys. But till then, this is a success. Oh man, video test with the Canon, middle of the night. Check out the Starlight in my car, man. This is the sickest thing I've ever done to my car, and this car has a lot of stuff done to it. I can't say how much this excites me and how happy I am that it came out this well. It's exceeded my expectations. It's incredible. It is one of the most amazing things that I've done in any car, and this just grabs attention. Anyone that notices this so far has just been like, oh my god, that's the most beautiful thing ever. It is just beautiful. So now it's time for the demo. What you're seeing right now is the lowest twinkle speed, so the lowest motor speed, and then the highest brightness for the white lights. And you can see over here there's lots of different settings you can use for all the different lights. And then on the side, on the bottom, you have different functions. So there's jump, fade, flash, breathe, motor on, motor off, and motor speed increase and decrease, and then music on and off. So right now the twinkle is on at the lowest speed, so if I bump that up all the way, I think there's 5 or 7 different speeds. You see the twinkle speeds up, and I can put it back down, and then I can change the brightness. So this is the brightest for the white light. I can put it down. So when driving, I would drive with the lowest brightness and the lowest motor speed. It's the least distracting and looks the best in my opinion. If you pull up with your friends, you're trying to get a coffee, or you're pulling up to a car meet or anything, then you want to jam out, then you can have fun with it and put it higher. So here's an example of combining different functions on the light engine. So this is the twinkle motor speed at the max, and this is with fade. So you can see that it's occasionally, well, it's doing it pretty quickly, but it's changing colors, going through all the different colors in the cycle. Instead of fade, you can do flash. Flash is kind of annoying. It's not my real favorite. Breathe. You can do jump. Jump just switches colors without any effect in the middle. So this is my preferred way of driving around, like I said, with the brightness low and the twinkle speed low. And a really underrated feature of this is the music mode. So right now music is off. I have no music playing in the car, and I'll put music on through the remote. So what this does is it turns that off for a sec, and now the light engine responds to any vibration that happens in your car. So when you have music on and you got bass pumping, check this out. So I'll just tap my steering wheel. So it's pretty awesome. So it's really sensitive. You can have your volume pretty low, and wherever your light engine is sitting, if it senses vibration, it'll turn on the lights for the duration of that vibration. So the music mode works best when you have a song that has punchy bass, but not enough bass that it's just on constantly. So you want a song that has a bit of bass and cuts out and cuts back in and out. That way you have the lights turn on and off, and it looks awesome. So with the montage or cinematic B-roll shot I threw up earlier in the video, you can see that that song has a pretty good bass line, and the light engine responds pretty well to it. So the cool part with this is, while it's off, you can't even tell anything. So when you install it, you trim the fibers as flush as possible to the headliner. You can't even feel them, you can't even tell a thing, and then all it takes is one button, boom, and they're on, and it looks amazing. This looks so good. Everyone that's been in the car with me so far to check this out, like any of my friends or family or anyone, they've been just amazed at how good it looks. It looks beautiful. It gives a crazy depth to this. So like, you can look up and it looks like it's really far away. Like it's super awesome. All right, so let's do some more demo. Brightness up. All right, so as far as colors go, here we have white. Hold on, let me put the motor speed all the way up so it kind of looks a bit more dramatic. That's crazy. I wouldn't drive around like this because that can be a little bit distracting. Anyway, so we're on white. Here we have red, green, blue. And by the way, while I'm messing with this, the light engine's in my trunk and this is still working, so just so you're aware. It penetrates through your car really well. Orange, dark blue. This is like a magenta of some sort. Then purple, a light blue or turquoise, yellow, a lighter orange, a greenish blue or something, and then some next purple, but always going back to white. Hey, the boy shows up. Hey, what's up? Okay, so the first question is, what product did I use? So I went with the Asimov light engine, and you can find this on Amazon or eBay. A lot of different suppliers sell this. They're probably all very similar, all different variations of the same thing, so you're probably good with any single one. I picked this one because it had the twinkle motor, so what you're seeing, this kind of flickering effect right now, that costs a little more. I also bought the package with 450 fiber optics that were 3 meters or 10 foot in length, so that also costs a little bit more. And I would highly recommend to go with an option that has the twinkle motor and a lot of fiber optics. That way you can get the best effect possible. So this ran me about 220 Canadian dollars for the whole package on Amazon. And I also had to pay about $25 in duties once it got imported. So I paid that online. Kind of annoying because it wasn't in there's no information about that you had to do that in the Amazon product page or anything. Nothing in the comments. So I got the email and I had to pay that online. That was kind of annoying. The product also comes with 2 power adapters, so one AC adapter so you can plug into your wall. You can use this inside your house. You can use it anywhere you want with that. And then it comes with a DC cigarette lighter jack to plug into your car. It's a very versatile option, so you can use this anywhere. It's not exactly only 100% meant for cars, so you can put this inside your house. You can make a cool movie room. You can light up a gondola in your backyard or put it around your pool or something cool like that. So get creative. Lots of cool things you can do with this. Another reason why I got this was because it came with a remote control, so you can control the lights with this, and I'll show a demo with this later on. This product also has an Android and I believe an Apple app you can use, or iOS app you can use. It's not that great, it's kind of finicky, but when it works really well. And the way it works is when you turn it on, you have to have the light engine already on, and it connects to it automatically by Bluetooth. You don't select the device, I think, so it's kind of sketchy. Like someone else could have the app if you're at a car meet, and they can easily just turn on the app and control your lights, I think. I haven't really tried it, but I'm fine with sticking to the remote. I think that's a good enough option. But the app is there just in case if you lose that, you have that to use. So next question was, where did I put the light engine? So I routed the bundle of fiber optics through the panels into my trunk, and I connected the fiber optics to the light engine back there. Essentially, it's sitting just in a box with my other stuff, but what I'm planning to do is get some Velcro tape and stick it to the inside of my carpeting inside the trunk. So the next question is, what did I do for power? So I bought an extra cigarette lighter to DC adapter plug that was about 3 meters long, and I cut off the cigarette lighter and crimped it into a fuse tap. So what that did is I can tap the... Oh, that girl just... Oh, she pulled out of the car wash and hit a curb. Oh, she's peeling out. Oh no, they're gonna park up and see what's going on. Anyway, that was pretty funny. Alright, so I fuse tapped and plugged it into the ECU accessory power in my fuse box. Next question, is it visible at night and day, or is it distracting? So short answer, yes, it's visible at night and day. And distracting, not exactly. So when you're driving, it's enough out of the way so that it's not in your field of view. You can kind of see, like, just from the top, depending on how far forward you put it, you can see a little bit of where it is, but it's generally not in your field of view. And depending on your car and your seating position, you might be able to see some of it in your rear view mirror. But you know, just mess around with your angle so that doesn't bother you. Again, I like to drive at low brightness and low motor twinkle speed, and that helps just reduce the distraction of that. As far as visibility, you can only really see this when you're actually inside the car, especially if your car is lowered. So for me, my car is really low, so from the outside you really need to crouch, get on your knees, or be at like a eye level with the driver to even see up here. So essentially, someone has to be low enough to look up into your roof to see that, and that's pretty difficult for most people. Like cars driving by you, unless they're lower than you and looking up into your roof, they're not really going to see it. If you have a bigger car like a van or a truck, where people are walking by or driving by and they're lower than your eyesight, then they can maybe see it, but it shouldn't be an issue. And at daytime and nighttime, you can definitely see it. So at nighttime, this is basically what it is right now. I got some light coming in front of me from the lights at the car wash right now. So it's lighting me up. This is not the light from the Starlight. This is from the light in front of me. So you can see if I put my hand up, it shades that light. And in daytime, you can see it as well. It's not as bright, it's not as cool in the daytime, but it's definitely still awesome and still amazing. Next question is, does the headliner look any different after you install the fibers? So the way you do it, if you do it right, it won't look any different. So what I did was, when I was trimming the fibers, I pushed my nail clipper up against where the fiber was coming out of the headliner, and snipped just the headliner. So I made sure not to really cut or scratch any of the felt material that was in the headliner. If your car has a different type of headliner, like if it's leather or some nicer material, then you might want to be a little more careful. So in that sense, the headliner doesn't look any different while the lights are off. You could be driving around in the daytime with the sun coming in your car, lighting up your car, and you can look up while this is off and you won't see a thing. Similarly, if you trim it properly and you get really flush into the headliner, you're not going to feel a thing. So I can run my hand over this, and I can feel a few just because I didn't trim them all the way down, but you can make another pass over this and you can trim those down. You definitely, if you do it right, you won't be able to notice a thing or feel a thing. How difficult was this and how complex was it? So all in all, this wasn't a difficult process. I would say more than anything, it's very time consuming and repetitive, and that makes it very tiring. And that leads into the next question: how long did this take? So from start to finish, including some breaks just to rest my back, bending over the headliner, trying to put the fibers in, start to finish about 10 hours. So if you're crazy like me, you could do this in 10 hours. You could take some breaks. You could make this a whole weekend project if you want. You could do this in a single day. Definitely possible. Would I do it again? 100%. This is my most favorite mod, and I'm absolutely in love with it. Every time I get in my car, before going anywhere, I just kind of stare at this and set it up and just change the colors and play around with it. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen on a car. I've only seen this on YouTube. Like, I haven't even seen it on Instagram, really. I've never seen it in person on another car. And that's something that's really cool about this, is that's very unique. A lot of people online might know about it, but like your friends, your family, you're showing up to car meets, a lot of guys out there, a lot of people messing with their cars don't really know what this is. How do I feel about it, and how do others feel about it? So, like I said, I absolutely love this. This is the coolest thing I've done to one of my cars, and I think the coolest thing you could probably do your car as well. And other people definitely love it. So I've had family members in here, I've had friends, and every single one has been just like amazed at how awesome this is. Next question is, what's the general process of the installation? So was there anything difficult in particular? Can you elaborate? So basically, once I had the headliner out, you want to make sure that you organize your fibers properly. So what that means is, if you have an 86 or FRS or BRZ, the headliner already has a grid drawn on the back of it. So if yours doesn't, and you got a different car, then I would suggest drawing a grid. Keep it reasonably sized. Don't draw like tiny squares, but maybe a couple of inches per side of that square. And while distributing the fibers, you can also make sure to route them properly, so that when you know where you want to route them to in your car, you can also already have that ready. So for installing the fibers, once you have the grid ready to go, what you want to do is grab a bunch of the fibers. Don't unpackage the whole thing, but you know, open up and extract a handful, like maybe 20 or so. And you want to do this because it gets really boring and tiring. So poke a hole in your headliner and kind of see where you want to go, and poke all the holes for that, for example, those 20 fiber optics. Then you want to insert all of them through a couple inches and use hot glue or low temp glue or Gorilla Glue or something, just to put a dab on the headliner where the fiber optic is going through. Do that for all of those 20 and then do another set of 20. So the way I did it was, because I had 450 fibers, I wanted to distribute them evenly but randomly. So what I did was, in each box of that grid, I poked 3 random holes and kind of spread them apart, and put 3 in each box of that grid. So I filled up the entire grid with 3 fibers each, and then I went back over everything with 2 more and then 1 more, and that way in those segments I'm able to organize where the fibers are going and make sure it's spread out and still look dense the way it did. So that way I kept the fibers spread enough so that you keep the density, and I was able to manage the fibers in a way that they go from the middle towards the outside, and the bundle is easily manageable, so that when you're transporting the headliner back into your car, you're installing it, you can route the bundle to where you want it to go very cleanly. And I had 2 problems with that. While cutting one of the fibers, it popped back through the headliner and I lost that one. And 1 more, when I was putting it back in the car, got caught on the rearview mirror and pulled it out. So it's not a big deal. I lost 2 out of the 450 fibers and it still looks good. Doesn't really matter. So for poking the holes for the fibers, I'm not sure how well I showed it in the video because I got really tired of recording at that time. What I did was I found a pin for a badge you put on your backpack, or something like a button pin. I don't know what you want to call it. And I basically just picked a spot, poked it right through the headliner, and wiggled it a bit so that you get a little space. It was big enough just for the fiber to go through, but when you're doing 450 of them, you don't want to like sit there and like meticulously try to feed the fiber through. You just want to like find the hole and drop it in. So I gave it a little bit more space. I didn't want to use a drill bit because I thought it would be kind of annoying. It would have been a lot of work, I think. So I think the pin worked out really well. Whatever works for you, go ahead with it. I think it shouldn't be a problem. I don't think it's really that difficult. Things to keep in mind: map out your fiber optics properly, make that grid, spread it out properly, make sure you can manage where the bundle of the fiber optics are going. If you want it to look random, don't worry much about the spread. Just go for it, make sure you have enough spacing between it, and it'll look good at the end no matter what. If you want to do a certain design, and go for it, print it out, draw it on top of your headliner, and just cut each of them through. That way you can do different density in your headliner. You can do a drawing, you can do constellations, you can do different designs. That'd be pretty cool. And like I said before, if you are going to do some random spread, then make sure you start in the middle and work your way outwards, and that way you manage the bundle properly. Another tip is, don't unwrap the entire bundle of fiber optics. You're going to get a bunch of them. Just use a couple at a time. That way you won't end up with a crazy mess and tangled up fiber optics. Start in the middle and work your way to the outside. Next tip would be to plan where you want the bundle to be when the headliner is going to be put back in the car. So I had a whole idea before installing the fibers where I wanted everything to go, and I made sure that the bundle ends up in that direction when I was finished, so that I can install the headliner back in the car and and install it and route it back to where I wanted the light engine to actually be. Another one is, when you're putting the fibers through your headliner, put a couple inches through. Don't be really cheap with it and just put a little bit. Put a couple inches through, and that way it'll be easier for you to make sure they're put in properly when you're cutting them. And while you're cutting them, I'd recommend to give them a little tug. Not hard enough to break the glue, but just enough just to make sure that they're in place. And that way you can hold it tight and taut so that the fiber is completely straight when you cut it, and you don't mess up the flushness of the cut into the headliner. Again, don't dig too deep when you're cutting your fibers. If you're using a blade, or if you're using side cutters, wire cutters, or if you're using a nail clipper, don't dig too deep and damage your headliner. Another one is, just so you're aware when you're doing this, the fibers don't always go in straight through your headliner. So depending on how you cut your hole, how you poke your hole, and drop your headliner in, and how your glue dries, your fiber will go straight and then might turn a bit. And what that means is when you cut it, your fiber is facing a different direction, so it doesn't light up the same as some other ones around. So you can see in mine, there's certain areas or certain fibers that don't always light up the same as the ones around them. But what that means is they're just facing a different direction. So if you change your perspective and you move around, you'll see that one light up. I think it was kind of cool, makes it a little bit more natural. And last tip is don't do one fiber at a time. I tried doing that at the beginning and I got sick of it. I almost wanted to quit. So doing the stages, do like 10 to 20 fibers at a time. Install a whole row in the grid, and then like poke all the holes in a row on your grid. Do all of the fibers in that row, then glue them in, then move outwards or something. But change it up a bit. It's going to be a long process, so throw on some music, have a good time, and just think about how cool it's going to look at the end.